To understand what I'm about to tell you, I need you to do something first. I need you to believe in the impossible. Can you do that? Good. My name is Isaac Riley, and today we're talking about the legacy of the fastest man alive, the Scarlet Speedster, my favorite superhero and show, The Flash. Honestly, this isn't a video I ever thought I would be making. I never really processed the show would end. I remember when I first saw Arrow on TV about halfway through its first season. Little 9-year-old me completely mesmerized by it. I'd already been a fan of comics and other DC shows, but something about seeing it brought to life in such a real way completely overloaded my brain. It really ignited a passion for superheroes that never went away. So when Arrow introduced Barry Allen in Season 2, I was so goddamn excited. I wasn't a super big fan of The Flash, but after seeing Wally and Barry in Young Justice, I was at least familiar. But when it was announced Barry would be getting his own show in the same world, I was over the fucking moon. Basically, immediately I started learning everything that I could about The Flash in the comics. I stumbled upon the original 90s show, and I kinda obsessed over everything Speedster related until the time finally came. The Flash's first episode came out about a month before my 11th birthday, and to be honest, I never really looked back after that. The Flash was instantly my go-to, not just as a show, but as a hero. And it really couldn't have been better timed. The show came into my life exactly when I needed it the most. When Season 1 ended, my family ended up moving from Wyoming to Texas. I went for visitation with my biological father while they all made the move. During that visit, I realized I didn't want to do visitations anymore. I wanted my stepdad to adopt me. I ended up joining back up with my family right at the start of my 6th grade year. At a new school, with no friends, shy, depressed, and super anxious. Truthfully, it was one of the lowest points of my life. Season 2 started just a couple months into the school year, and it instantly became a comfort. Talking about the show led me to making new friends, and it would keep doing that for years. At the end of Season 2, and the school year, my family took a summer trip back to our hometown so I could be adopted by my stepdad. But being back in my hometown, and realizing that all of my old friends didn't miss me nearly as much as I missed them, it was a huge blow to my self-confidence and my self-worth. By the time we made our way back to Texas at the end of the summer, I was, once again, at an all-time low. Little did I know that Barry and I were about to go through similar struggles throughout the year. 7th grade, I really started acting out. I had this explosive anger that I just couldn't control. I really struggled with the expectations I felt were being placed on me for having been a good kid and a good student the year before. I hated who I saw when I looked in the mirror. And goddamn did Team Flash help me through every step. Barry struggled too, with his own darkness, his own faults, the expectations placed on him by his friends and family. He struggled against a dark version of himself that forced him to confront all of his mistakes. I remember the day I finally started to let go of my anger. The day of the Season 3 finale. Barry sacrificing himself to the Speed Force prison. Something about that really clicked in my head and heart. I started to turn my life around. Though the most impactful season had to be Season 4. By the start of 8th grade, I was in anger management and therapy. I was starting to get my act together, but I still lapsed every once in a while. And when Season 4 started, seeing that first episode, Barry seeming so light and free of all the pain that held him down before, it made me excited to just live. I met a young woman, my first love, who I fell ridiculously hard for. this was also about the time Ralph was introduced to the show. And again, I found someone who I'd share a journey with for the year. After that breakup, my first real heartbreak, I was so lost and admittedly didn't handle it well at all. I defaulted to being angry all the time. And I know this sounds stupid, but when the Thinker killed Ralph, I mourned. I remember sobbing for hours after the episode ended. A man who had finally become ready for a better life, who had worked so hard to be better and to achieve his best self, only for someone to rip it away from him. It wasn't fair. And I remember having those last few moments stuck in my head for days.
Ralph! Just fight it, alright? Fight it! I'll save you!
You already did, Barry.
I'll keep them safe.
Seeing Ralph die, feeling that grief, stupid or not, really pushed me to want to get better. I started doing multiple therapy and anger management sessions a week. I started meditating. I quit drinking energy drinks and coffee. I forced myself to sleep a healthy amount. It was the exact kick in the ass that I needed to get my shit together. It also led me to finding a new girlfriend. By the time Team Flash had defeated the Thinker and saved Ralph, I was in the best mental health of my life. Season 5 was an entirely different story. On the night of the season premiere, literally 30 minutes after finishing the episode, I found out that she had cheated on me. And that most of my friends knew about it. That day at school, I had joined the drama club, and in a moment of desperation, I called one of the people I'd met there. He was 2 grades ahead of me, despite the weird, awkward position I put him in. He still listened. He talked me through 3 hours of crying on the phone. And that night ended up sparking what would become a 3-year friendship. But that year opened up so many new opportunities for me. I was in multiple shows with the theater department. I did fundraisers and bake sales. I was given the opportunity to work with author and motivational speaker Jeff Yalden. All while watching Nora West Allen become the best hero that she could be and overcome her missteps time and time again. I got to grow alongside her. Both of us working to be the best versions of ourselves that we could be. And the grief I felt when she was erased from the timeline, that just pushed me to grow even more. Season 6 was when I started to grow away from the show. That year, 2020, was absolute chaos. Just a month after the season premiere, Unisonus started. And between focusing on that, the theater performances and conventions, The Flash just kind of fell to the wayside. And when COVID hit, when the world shut down, I just never got back into the show the way I had before. It was at that point that I really started to figure out who I was, what I wanted out of life. Quarantine, paired with Unisonus, led me down an incredible path of self-discovery. And before I knew it, Season 6 was over. The multiverse had been rebooted, the Speed Force was dead, and Oliver Queen was God. But I was doing so well, didn't care about the Flash as much anymore. Unisonus ended. And I knew that I needed to find the best way for me to enjoy my time. To make the most of every second. Which meant letting go and focusing on just living. Shortly after, right when Season 7 started, I got my first job. It was also around the time I started dating my only serious girlfriend. A combination of The Flash and Unus Annus led to what would become an absolutely beautiful 1.5-year-long relationship. And honestly, I let the show fall to the wayside again as I continued to just grow and live life. I still watched it, it just wasn't what I relied on to get me through the tough times anymore. I had made friends, fell in love, learned to appreciate my time. I didn't need to use The Flash as a crutch anymore. Season 8 started the day before my 18th birthday, which was honestly why I started to get back into the show. It was kind of surreal that the show had seen me all the way to my senior year and was going to be there when I entered adulthood. I remember being so excited and talking to my girlfriend about how awesome the concept of Reverse Flashpoint was. I remember being so hyped about Ronnie coming back, even if he was just Deathstorm. I remember being brought to tears when it came time to say goodbye to Frost and Caitlin. By the time the season had wrapped up, I'd ended my relationship and was recovering from near total kidney failure. But oddly enough, as much as that sucked, I was optimistic. And for that, I blame Barry Allen. Though, he has the right idea. I'll get back to that though. Season 9 started in early February of this year, and knowing it was going to be the final season, I decided to go all in. I rewatched the entire series in anticipation for the premiere. I reflected on how much the show had impacted my life, and I went into the season fully prepared to hype it up and go on this journey with Barry and the rest of Team Flash one last time. I'll be the first to admit, this show isn't perfect. Sometimes it's straight up bad, but the one thing that no one will ever change is how real they are to me. Barry, Caitlin, Frost, Cisco, the Wells, Iris, Joe, Wally, Cecile, Chester, Allegra, all of them. I don't care if it's just a show. To me, they're real. They're my friends, my family. They took me from my absolute lowest point and ran with me all the way to being nearly 20 years old. Seeing that final episode, Barry and Iris getting their happy ending, Team Flash being in a good place, Barry throwing that bolt of lightning into the sky, and that final run through the city while Barry gave his last monologue to the viewers, it made one thing stick with me. Something said in the very first scene of the show, that we need to believe in the impossible. This show has taught me more than I will ever be able to explain, and I can't help but cry thinking about it. But as all things must eventually, it reached its finish line. Its race is over. The one thing I want you all to remember is that every second is a gift. So remember to cherish it and run towards all the things that make life worth living. Thank you so much for watching, and in the words of H.R. Wells, this is not goodbye. It's just till our next communion. I'll see you guys next time.